Welcome in Chiefs Kingdom. The NFL draft is officially over, but the work doesn't end here. We get to go over the rest of these players and all of the ways that they're going to fit into the offense and the defensive side of this Chiefs roster. This is RGR Football. Welcome in. My name is Daniel Harms. We're going to take on maybe one of the more surprising picks from the 2024 NFL draft, but a player who's going to make a lot of difference on this Chiefs defense. Is going to help in a lot of different ways, cover up some holes maybe we saw from last year coming into this year with some vacancies. But everyone wants to talk about Jared Wiley, the tight end. With Travis Kelce getting his contract, I don't really know that he's going to be as impactful as many maybe hoped he would be early in his season. So we're going to kick it off with defensive back Jaden Hicks out of Washington State. At the combine, he measured in close to 6'2", 211 pounds with 9 3/8 inch hands, 31.5 inch arms. So he's big, he's fast, he's long. He didn't run the 40 at the combine, but he ran a 4.5 at the pro day with a 1.5 10 yard split. So he's got some burst downhill and really that carrying speed up for specifically like tight ends and bigger guys and running backs out of the backfield, things like that. So good change of direction. And what I like most about this body type is that he can do all the different things you want from a safety, split safety, box safety kind of player. He has all that versatility to him. And when he lined up at Washington State in this 4-2-5 defense, he was a lot of times used as an in-the-box linebacker slash safety slash strong safety. So he did lined up everywhere for this defense. And he's an exciting player because of what he brings versatility-wise, physical, and he has very good ball skills as well, which I'm sure we're going to get to. So let's go ahead and break down the tape of Jaden Hicks, who's going to be, again, a weapon for the Chiefs defense and specifically Steve Spagnuolo. What he does here, again, you see the lined up against the tight end in the slot right here. But this is going to be a run play, and a lot of things we're going to see from this film package is him working in the box against the run because that's what he was asked to do a lot. We'll get to some of the clips where he has been coverage and in back safety and things like that. But a little chief on chief crime here. We've got Carson Steele, who was a UDFA, coming in, taking the ball here. And here you get Jaden Hicks coming downhill from that linebacker strong safety spot and just chopping down the tree. What I like about this is that he's going to be quick to identify. So he's getting down in his stance. He's all the way in here. He's square to that tight end, and you get eyes on the backfield, right? Look for the football. So this could be play action. This could not, this could be a run. He could be just a plus straight up pass afterwards. So he wants to identify the football. And then you see the tight end from UCLA coming to the next level here. And then you have one guy working from right to left. So there's always that possibility that this split zone, quote unquote, action is coming to block Hicks. So he's going to quickly get downhill when he sees the ball in the hands of the running back. And that's one of the other things that I really like about it, especially for an off coverage defender. Sometimes his eyes can be a little worrisome, which again, we'll get to as well. But this is one of the areas that I really like him. Getting downhill and tackling being part of those TFLs. He's a very good TFL producer, racking up, I believe, 8.5 TFLs in his 2 seasons playing as a starter at Washington State. So nice technique coming downhill and putting that shoulder across the body and chopping down a much bigger, thicker running back at 230 plus pounds. Hicks is a big guy, obviously. He's nearly 6'2", 211. He's probably going to play closer to 215, maybe 220 pounds. Maybe he plays a little bit lighter, 210, just to get that speed from what Steve Spagnuolo wants. But the physical nature that he brings to the box here, quick decision-making, getting downhill. And again, nice job to get the shoulder. One thing I want you to kind of pay attention to right here, this is his head. His eyes have been lowered to the ground. His arms are down. They're not really wrapping up. This is a tackling technique issue for him specifically. So we'll get into more of that as well. You don't want to really lower your head as much as a tackler because it can really hamper what you're able to do in space. But when you stay square and you play downhill as this like will linebacker type of player, I really like what he brings. And this is one of those, again, areas where he has come downhill, and he almost is. He's on the weak side. He's like this overhang backside will linebacker, and he's just going to get down here, meet that running back at the line of scrimmage, and just stay with him. So he has nowhere to go. He can't go inside. There's a defender, coming across the face of that right tackle. So I'm in space here. I'm going to get downhill and then steadily be patient. Work to the sideline. Then go, I'm going to tackle you. Being the guy, force defender at the end of the play is what he's done very well in the run game. And one of the things that he's going to bring in right now as a defender in the NFL is that he's already got that size, speed, and ability to tackle one-on-one with running backs in space, and to keep that speed and keep his angles. He does fall off the tackle there, but at the end of the day, getting that job done is all what really matters. So for me, guys, I do apologize. I'm dealing with seasonal allergies right now, so if it sounds weird, if I'm sniffling at times, I do apologize for that. But here, they're going to run a little bit of outside zone away from Jaden Hicks, who's on the other side. He has good range. Now, this could have been a much bigger play, and obviously you see him bring in the load once again, but he has that range. This is a good amount of distance he's covering from here to here. We're talking nearly 17 yards, 18 yards away from the running back, and the angles here, he's trying to get outside. So Jaden does a nice job taking the proper angle, a little bit downhill quicker than I would have liked to see, but he has that speed to kind of make up for it and get into this space. Like I said, the path isn't exactly what I would say, but from here the angle is good. So let's reiterate what I'm saying So he comes from this backside, triggers downhill a little quicker, but then takes the proper angle and actually just lays Carson Steele out there at the sideline. Nice physicality, using speed to power, generating, I'm going to go make this play. No one else has got this speed. I got long arms, long legs, and he is more of a strider. You don't really see him burst a ton on film, but he has really good footwork, change of direction skills, and he's able to just use all of that speed that he builds up to really lay into players. Now, again, I do apologize. We haven't used Washington film, and Washington's all-22 is really grainy, and it gets kind of hectic, but he's going to be right here. This is another thing that he's going to bring to the defense, a blitz perception, a blitz perspective. And when you add more blitzing elements with like we see with Steve Spagnuolo, it is hard to pass up on a guy who's going to continue to bring those to your team. And obviously we know that you can free up one-on-one. Washington State did a very good job of blitzing both linebackers and really forcing this to be a one-on-one situation with a running back and Jaden Hicks. They did this a lot, whether he's rushing from the edge, whether he's rushing up the middle. He can do a lot of different things from a blitzing standpoint. So we know that the Chiefs like to blitz their safeties off the slot and their DBs as well. So he's definitely got the tools to be able to do that. And here he forces a throwaway. Now, obviously, this was a penalty on a different DB, but the point here, again, is that you're going to see those linebackers go across, get Jaden Hicks one-on-one with a running back. Nice job of setting him up. He goes outside, or really to his right first, kind of almost Euros back inside. He's going to dip his shoulder and get underneath that running back and then come free, forcing Michael Penix to throw that football just down the field for a one-on-one situation. Hopefully he gets something. They did get a penalty out of it. So really nice job of utilizing his speed, his physical nature against running backs. And I think he's got a nose for a pass rush. So here he is again doing the exact same thing. And this time he's going to use his quickness to get Dylan Johnson, who ended up being a UDFA, who I actually liked as a possible kind of workhorse back, but definitely more of a thumper with good pass protection skill set. Here he does a nice job again, setting him up, side swiping by him. So we see two different types of pass rush moves from him from a blitzing perspective, where he's able to get kind of more of a Euro and then dip his shoulders and rip underneath it. And here he's going to go, again, set him up outside to the right, go back inside and swipe away, get to after the quarterback, once again, nearly forcing an interception from the quarterback there. So very useful as a blitzer, and that adds another element, another layer to him as a player. So he can also you're really being aggressive, a little overly aggressive. We've already seen him be very aggressive and getting downhill quickly, trying to make plays. Sometimes it can be a little overly so. So here he is as that backside defender. If that's a faster running back, that's probably maybe a 15, 20-yard gain. But here, you're going to see him get downhill a little bit too quickly. You want to be that edge, that last defender on the backside. You have to kind of wait it out, right? So here he is again. He's going to hug down to the line a little bit too much. So come down here a little bit. Give yourself space, because if you meet running backs here, instead of over here, maybe even actually probably slightly just outside here, especially a bigger running back like this, he's not going to be able to cut and then get upfield around you this way easy. He has to get around you. So give yourself a little bit of space here. Don't condense all the way down, but he does condense all the way down. And then he's, again, diving forward, lunging with his shoulder and his head down a little bit there, trying to make a play. This is that tackling aggressiveness that we've talked about. And as a backside defender, he can get sucked up to a run play a little bit quickly, a little easily, and that opens up those cutback lanes and those, especially those quick guys. And Carson Steele does a nice job here breaking that tackle, getting upfield for more yards. So just something to monitor with him. In the box perspective, he's going to learn a lot more. Again, he only started 2 seasons in college. He redshirted as a freshman, played, and came out as a redshirt sophomore out of Washington State. So there's experience, and he's in a good safety room to learn that, especially because we've seen both Brian Cook 2 years ago, Chamari Connor last year, these young safeties, these young physical safeties, they come in and they're able to learn quickly and contribute later down the road. So he's a guy that I'm very excited to see grow in that defense. And here he is as that split safety. They did a lot of moving as well in Washington State, whether it's to him being a too high safety or a full field deep middle safety. You're going to see right here the tackling angles. Again, we talked about his tackling angles a little bit already, but what I want to see from him here is you've got the Oregon player who's just going to come run over this way. Just a little slant right here. You have an outside defender, number 0, coming downhill here. And then Hicks is going to take a little bit too aggressive of a line. You have to be a help defender at that point. You have to reduce the angle here. If you have someone who is going to be tackling them on this side, get to the opposite side. So right here, again, you see that angle for him. It's too direct to the path. You need to be able to diagnose that if he breaks this tackle, it's going to be to the inside. And also my space is here. That's where he wants to get to. He's not going to try to go through you and through him and then through you. He's going to get into space. So as that safety coming downhill against some of these quicker receivers than he is, he can have those tackling angles can again come to bite him. And then he's too he's too far away, flat-footed to actually make this play. So once again, that receiver gets into space and accelerates by him. The long speeds there, that quick burst downhill, or so not really downhill. He's got good burst downhill, but that burst to get upfield, to turn and run with these quicker, shiftier receivers over the middle of the field isn't there. So that type of angle needs to be addressed. And when you're an aggressive player trying to make plays like this, you can get caught out of position too easily with these guys that have that acceleration and speed. So once again, you see it right there on the tape. That angle just needs to be a little bit more open. Allow yourself to feel the space, to get into that space, and don't let him create a big play after the catch. This showed up a couple of times on his film where he didn't need to. You don't have to let that happen. So I like the rotation stuff. They did a lot of rotating at safety in terms of coming downhill, being a slot defender, rotating to a too high safety, or showing too high, rotating to that single high safety. And I like that. So there is already that on his tape. I've also seen him be one of those. What I want to say here is just take this away real quick. We remember the game against the Bengals a few years ago where Trent McDuffie was a rookie and he took that downfield throw away as the backside defender, right? He comes screaming down the pipe on the right hand side of the field at the top of the screen, or however you want to say it. I saw that multiple times from Jaden Hicks' tape. So he's a slot defender in zone, and he sees the field. He sees where that opposite side of the field receiver is either making a big angle route down the field or just that straight line from where he's lined up across the other side of the field, across the other side of the safety, and you see him be that deep down the middle of the field defender, that down the pipe defender, as they say sometimes. So I like to see that from him. It shows that kind of stuff translates not only to the NFL but to the Chiefs defense as well. And one thing that you really like to see, we've seen this from a couple of Chiefs, not just safeties but cornerbacks, that physical nature, that willingness to come downhill and play against some pullers and against some offensive linemen. Obviously, you're not going to win all of those battles, but I think he did a really nice job here coming downhill. Again, that overhang defender on this ended up being the play side, so he comes down and gets a shoulder into this offensive lineman. This is pretty good take on technique. So he's angled in here, his outside foot is in the ground, he's looking for the football, puts his shoulder into that chest of the offensive lineman, and then again tries to make a play here. He's not as strong as an offensive lineman, so he can't kind of extend his arm and get back inside here, but he keeps this lane free for help defenders to come along and make a play. So I like that as well. I like his physical nature to come downhill. Maybe if he gets a little bit stronger in the upper body, those arms, you can see him take on those blocks and extend. One of the things that intrigues me about Hicks is that I think he could be a Dan Sorensen plus. Now, I know what you're saying right now when I say the words Dan Sorensen, but he played a lot of different places in this defense even before Steve Spagnuolo was in Kansas City. But the most important thing to that role was the ability to come down and play dime backer. Willie Gay's not in Kansas City anymore. Cam Jones coming off an injury. We know that he played well in the one game that we saw him in. But you never really know what's going to happen. There's also the idea that maybe he could put on a little bit more weight and transition to linebacker. I personally wouldn't do that, but the fact that he can play dime in dime defense or even in nickel, if you want to play dime but bring him down as a backer, you can do that because he can still fit the run. He's still physical enough to get downhill. He still recognizes those run plays very well, and he's studied. He's very well studied, and we're about to see exactly why. Here he is at the top of your screen, lined up on the backside of the play once again. UCLA is going to run a little bit of a screen fake. So all these guys are clearing out on the offensive side, trying to clear out to make play for this little flare route from the running back. So make it look one way, but then we see quarterback's eyes go back this way. Tight end trying to leak out behind everybody and into space. He's not the only person that saw that. I mean, he's not the only person that's looking at the tight end. Jaden Hicks is too. He sees the offensive lineman go. He quickly gets downhill, running through the offensive lineman, trying to make a play. One of the big things that we've already seen from him is his ability to diagnose not just run plays, but screen plays. Like his screen awareness is extremely good. It's very good. And we see that the Chiefs kind of excel from a safety and cornerback position to being able to do that. So he's quick to read, quick to diagnose, and he's quick to get downhill when he sees one of those screens coming. I really like that from him because it shows you how well studied he is, how much he watches film, and how much that gets into his game for a younger player. 21 years old, he's going to turn 22 during the season, but inexperience. We talk about how inexperience plays into the role quite a bit, but at times you can see that he's really putting himself out there as a legitimate player that's going to learn and be adaptive in the system. And we're going to talk a little bit about his aggressiveness again, because eyes can sometimes lie. And we just saw a really good example of him off the ball diagnosing. I think as an in-box defender, diagnosing can be a little harder, and we see that show up on his tape from time to time. What he's going to do, whoops, wrong thing here. You're going to see him again get downhill as that aggressive backside defender. And then they pitch this ball the opposite way, and he is way out of position. So he's down here, should have been waiting kind of for the backside again, or even closer to this line here. So he would have been able to go out there and meet Rome Odunze in the backfield. But this turns into a huge play for Washington as he's caught out of position. So just, again, aggressive nature, good. Taking that, harnessing it, and adapting it into the Chiefs defense is what we've seen them do from guys like Jamari Conner and Brian Cook. So the tools, again, are there. He's got the ability, and I think, like we've talked about, him being in this system, this early, these young players, first half of the season, play a little bit. The last half of the season is when they start to learn, they start to grow, and get themselves more involved in this defense. And I like what he's going to bring. As an off-coverage defender in the slot against bigger-bodied players, you don't want to see him against slot players like those small, shifty guys. You want to see him against tight ends. The size, the physical nature that we've seen. He can legitimately take away tight ends in the NFL. I think that's going to be his upside. And he was, again, my safety, too, when the Chiefs had him fall in their lap in the 4th round. Something that they really have struggled with over the last few seasons. We've seen Justin Reed be better to an extent from it lately, but tight ends and running backs out of the backfield have really given them trouble. I don't think that's going to be a huge problem with Jaden Hicks, personally, who can come down and play against those big slot players. He's got good ball skills. This is just, I want it more than you do. Jalen Polk does not drop the football. He attacks it very aggressively. Now, the one thing in this position that I would say maybe Michael Penix did a disservice to him is that Polk needs to kind of stop and establish physicality. If he's going to catch the ball at the catch point, he needs to be able to stop and jump, use his strength. Jaden Hicks here, again, nice job staying with and staying in phase with a receiver. Not a hugely fast receiver. Again, just a fade. It's just a little slot fade going out here. But Hicks, again, turns, runs with Polk. And right here, it's hard to tell because this, again, is grainy, but he's looking. He's playing Polk first, and then he's playing the ball. A lot of times in Kansas City, and honestly in the NFL, even in college, we see corners look to the wide receiver, and they wait for the ball to drop, and that puts them in a disadvantage. One of the areas that I think that Hicks has above maybe any corner, any DB in Kansas City, is that he's got way better ball skills, and he's got way better ball identifying down the field. So this is just a really nice example of what he can do against some bigger bodies. He has the length, he has the size and the speed to carry tight ends in the NFL. And I think that that's going to be extremely useful for this Chiefs defense because, again, he can come down, play running backs out of the backfield. I think he has change of the direction to be able to stay with them. So, again, if you're in that dime or that nickel role that's like small dime, or excuse me, like small nickel, where you have a guy like Jaden Hicks come onto the field and play next to a Nick Bolton or Drew Tranquill, he can cover running backs out of the backfield. He can cover more athletic tight ends, and it's not a huge issue. Getting better in that department of coverage for the Chiefs is going to be huge, and I think Jaden Hicks is going to be a huge focal point of that going forward. And on their defense, again, adding physical presence. Downhill, want to get involved in the run game, want to tackle. Even if the tackle technique, lowering your eyes, lowering your head, isn't all what you want from him, the ability to learn, again, 2 seasons at Washington State as a starter, and he moves all over the field for them. He did play deep safety. I didn't include any of those because he's just, kind of standing around getting depth. It's harder to pick those out and really play, but that's why I wanted to show you the rotation to deep safety and then come downhill, show you that tackle, that aggressive nature that he has with his angles at times. So just to show you that he's more versatile than I think people give him credit for, even maybe I gave him credit for initially coming out, as he's definitely more comfortable in the box, but his role can grow because of his athleticism and speed to be able to play anywhere you want him to. And that kind of chess piece, is extremely valuable in Steve Spagnuolo's defense. So I hope you guys enjoyed the film breakdown of the guy who's going to be all over the field for the Chiefs in a couple of years, if not this season, playing tight ends, playing running backs, really being an impact player on this defense, adding to maybe what they lost in free agency, at least to an extent. And I hope I was able to earn a like from you guys for this breakdown. Again, you guys can follow me on Twitter at InHarmsWay19. Make sure you guys are hitting that sub button to the channel and hit the like on your way out to get us out to more Chiefs Kingdom and Chiefs fans everywhere. You guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day.